Gibraltar is blessed with a rich variety of natural and human history. The rock and the town below have been home to many cultures and people over the centuries. The artifacts, monuments and memories that remain become our heritage, a common inheritance which we all share. And as Gibraltar moves forward and grows, it is up to us as a society to make sure this heritage endures and becomes a part of our future as well. Leading this effort is the Gibraltar Heritage Trust, an independent statutory body entrusted with the preservation of our heritage, whose aim it is to ensure that modern Gibraltar retains history and heritage at its heart. Some of the greatest, most beautiful and impressive achievements in human history are the great monuments and buildings built throughout the millennia. Although it might sometimes seem like these ancient architectural wonders have sprung up by pure magic, in reality, at the heart of each of these projects are the surveyors, architects and engineers who painstakingly plot and plan the course of construction. The ancient art and science of topographical surveying has given humans the ability to chart our surroundings and in turn empowered us to tame the world around us, allowing buildings, cities and civilizations to be built. In the present day, surveying is still an essential aspect of any engineering project, albeit with powerful new technology capable of recording data faster and more precisely than ever before.
La topografía es una técnica la cual es la que intenta representar de la forma más fiel posible en un plano lo que es el relieve del terreno, lo que son edificios, prácticamente es medir para plasmarlo en un plano. ¿Vale?
For me, as an architect, working with existing situations or existing buildings, it's very important we have an accurate record of the situation. So surveying for us is capturing this existing situation and using it as a record or something to reproduce or something to work with and add onto. So it's a point in time of an existing landscape, building or object.
Esta topografía clásica, porque es la clásica, ya se ha incrementado ahora con las nuevas tecnologías que es el Lidar.
One easy way to describe Lidar would be like a pulse of light, and the device measures the time it takes to send and receive the light. So it's an accurate measurement of everything it touches.
Aunque el Lidar sigue teniendo las mismas características de la topografía clásica porque se basa en ángulos y distancias, y ahora con el Lidar pues todo eso se ha no solo simplificado, sino que se ha multiplicado. Se ha multiplicado porque tú lo que tomas ahora mismo en un minuto puede llegar a tomar 1 billón de puntos en un minuto, mientras que tú con una topografía clásica en un minuto solamente tomas 1 o 2 puntos. Entonces la cantidad de detalles que tú tienes con esta nueva tecnología es abismal. Es que no tiene color porque llegas a representar gráficamente, que es el plan de la topografía, llegas a representar todo lo que eres capaz de tomar en 360 grados, mientras que antes para hacer eso podías estar totalmente 2 días o 3 días. Entonces se está simplificando mucho, se están ganando en los proyectos, en tiempo, y sobre todo porque es que tienes tanta información que es que el proyectista, en este caso los arquitectos, los ingenieros, pueden diseñar con una soltura abismal. Es que no tiene color, no tiene color. Me, classical surveyor in topographic, and when I see the new technology, it's a shock for me because you have all the information in 1 second, 1 second or 2 minutes, or you have the information very quickly and very accurate.
For me as an architect, the data you get from a 3D scan is invaluable because we have the ability to revisit the site virtually without going to site. So it's not, in Gibraltar we are quite localized But there are some sites which are inaccessible or maybe abandoned or in use, for example, and the client may only be able to give us access at one point. But then I can access the 3D information and use it, and there's always one photograph you didn't take or one measurement you didn't take, and with the 3D point clouds and information there, we have information, at our desks.
Given the incredible power and advantages that Lidar technology gives us to precisely scan and record our environments, it wasn't long before it was applied in the preservation efforts of some of humanity's most treasured places, in some cases uncovering new, previously hidden details.
There's many examples of Lidar use around the world in heritage sites and archaeological sites. In the last, decade or so, we've had scans of the Great Pyramids in Egypt, Machu Picchu as well, and many other sort of UNESCO World Heritage assets. And different types of Lidar have been used for different things, and they've made very big discoveries. I think there's been a discovery in Guatemala of old ruins which were covered by the tree canopy in the middle of the jungle. No one knew they were there until they used Lidar attached to an aircraft to see it. And then in terms of heritage, I think the most recent and relevant example is Notre Dame. The fire a couple of years ago destroyed the great roof and medieval structure, and there was a competition to build something new, but they decided in the end it's not appropriate, they want to rebuild the existing. And fortunately they had extensive Lidar data of the existing structure, and now they can use that to recreate, to the nearest millimeter almost, to what it was. And that for me is very powerful. Heritage, we became aware that we were doing surveying and obviously working together with Surveying GI for usual projects, our building projects and things, and also became aware of the uses around the world of Lidar and how it can be used to record and document assets, historical assets, and approached us and asked the question, can you do this? We want to document a particular tunnel we have and learn from it.
The scanning of the SOE station in Hayes Level is new territory for the Trust. The SOE, the Special Operations Executive chambers, were in use in 1940s during the Second World War as a spy facility on movements through Africa and Spain. The site itself is in quite a poor state. I mean, it's almost like 80 years old and is subject to very poor conditions in the damp. We got a private donation at the Trust for a project, and we pitched that the scanning would be something of interest to do, to digitally record the facility for future generations. At the moment it is not accessible to general tourists, but we hope to be able to make it accessible virtually in phase 2 and 3 of the project. But at the moment the first phase has been to digitally scan it in 3D so that we have a model of it as it was and is today, and to be able to use that to then base our further 3D reconstructions on.
The challenge of scanning these caves was, well, the first one was walking to site. I think it's quite far inside the rock. Obviously then the lighting conditions were not ideal to capture what we wanted, so we had to carefully think about masking the light coming in through the openings, and also using flood lighting to capture the right images from the Lidar. The laser itself doesn't necessarily need light, but to color the data we need lighting, because it uses the 360-degree photos to color the point cloud. So, and that was important for us and also the client. So we had to take in some lighting equipment and take time to carefully place it to get a good result. Here we're looking at the scan in its natural colors. So here with the point cloud, we can cut a section.
Okay.
We come through, and then we We can rotate and see, you know, in section how everything sits. We can use this then to explore and to produce drawings or models if we wanted to, or to just leave as a record. Any point you want. We can have all the information, its distance, its location, its color.
Dale un real view.
Yeah.
Para que vean.
And here at each station we can flick between the point cloud, which we're seeing here, and we can flick to the real view, which is a 360-degree photograph, and use it to explore everything. We have all of the detail here, all of the steps and writing on the wall.
Lidar te permite hasta 1 milímetro meterte la profundidad de las letras totalmente, o sea, pero no solamente las letras, sino hasta las grietas de la roca. Aquí, por ejemplo, había una antigua estructura y había unas piedras que están rotas, que están... Tira para arriba, mira para arriba. Vale, por aquí hay una grieta, y hay una grieta que, a ver, pues esas grietas también la ha tomado, dale al 3D. Y ahora gíralo. Y penetra hasta 50 metros, con una precisión de milimétrica. Cada golpetazo que le han dado para esculpir la roca es que está ahí hecho. O sea que tú puedes tener inventariado hasta el proceso constructivo de cómo se hicieron las cuevas, que eres capaz de deducir cómo han estado cincelando y demás. Los números romanos esculpidos en cada piedra también aparecen, o sea, que tú tienes una información que es totalmente para poder copiarla de cualquier forma en cualquier sitio, que podrías hasta meterla en un escáner, en un 3D print. La versatilidad, la información que te da un Lidar es asombrosa. Y encima al tenerlo en 3D tú eres capaz de visitarlo virtualmente, hacer cualquier tipo de cosa con ello.
The magic of a Lidar survey is that it captures absolutely every little crevice, crack in the rock, something that you cannot do with traditional surveying methods, even photography. You don't get that depth of field. And what you get is essentially a 3D model that you can play with, turn around, explore.
For me, there's no better way to record than this. You know, with the vast amount of heritage sites that Gibraltar has, and also a lot that aren't accessible to the public, I think this is a great technology to use for that, but not just for the benefit of recording accurately, but to also start to open up maybe certain elements to public, which is inaccessible due to the nature of the location or whatever. I think that's how I would like to see it move forward.
Something which became very apparent during COVID and the lockdowns, where so many heritage sites all over the world and locally have struggled with the lack of tourism footfall and the loss of revenue within that to help maintain and keep up the interest in these places. So many went for virtual tours, and we think it's something that Gibraltar really needs to tap into, and we're trying that out for us at the Trust.
Lo más interesante que veo con el tema de implementar esta nueva tecnología es de poder inventariar lo que tenemos. Entonces el inventariar lo que tenemos es nuestra historia. Y entonces nuestra historia siempre la vamos a conservar y vamos a poder recurrir a ella de una forma didácticamente en todos los sentidos para poder aprovecharnos y seguir manteniendo nuestra historia. Es lo que, como yo lo veo. Entonces, contra más inventariemos, contra más tengamos catalogado el patrimonio que hemos heredado de nuestros abuelos o de nuestros antepasados, pues es una cuestión de que podremos enseñarlo más adelante con la información más precisa que es esta tecnología.
In 2017, the Bassadone Automotive Group embarked on a project that would not only transform the way this long-established business operated, but would also transform and revitalize a portion of one of Gibraltar's prime heritage sites, the Royal Navy Dockyard. Through substantial investment, meticulous planning, and a conscientious approach to preserving the historic aspects of the existing buildings, Phase 1 of the project has been a complete success, marrying striking, attractive modernity and efficiency with stately, timeless architecture and industrial design, bringing this important piece of heritage into the 21st century.
This part of the building is where the old meets the new. So on this side we've got all our showroom and all the offices for all our companies, and all the admin side, logistics and sales. One of the features is that the old building doesn't actually touch the new. We've got about 3-5 centimeter gap between the buildings, which was just obviously insulated against rain. If one day the new building disappears, the old building will be left untouched. Through this corridor, you now enter the old historic building where we can access some of our facilities, like the staff canteen are on this side, but then of course all the workshops and warehouse for Toyota are just behind this wall. This is the first phase of the project, which is now fully complete. So now all of Toyota's workshops and warehouse facilities are here. Everybody's now working full swing, and everything from Devil's Tower Road has now been relocated here to the dockyard. The biggest achievement in coming over to the dockyard is having everybody under the same roof. So the workshop is next to the warehouse, so the operations in the building are much more efficient. So the core workshops are attached to all the ancillary facilities. So the car washing, which we call PDI, is next door. Welding and fabrication, they're all under one roof, and that's generated our biggest efficiencies and difference to being in Devil's Tower Road.
Devil's Tower Road, it was okay for about 20 odd years, but we were split. It was a bit of a logistical nightmare. Here the good thing about it is that we've come closer, so all workshops are very, very close together, so it's easier to use people. The facilities, as you can see, are brilliant. I mean, each fitter has his own bay with all his tools and his elevator. There is much more space than we had in Workshop 1. No, we still have to drive the vehicles to and from here to the exit point, but once they're here, we do turn around the vehicles much quicker than we used to in the old place.
One of the things that we accomplished in bringing all the new facilities here was keeping all the heritage and the attractiveness of the old features of the building. So all the steelwork is restored. It's got specialist paint so that we can show it off. The wooden floor is used and is visible. We restored some cranes, one of them which still runs and we can use, but we still were able to inject the operational modern things like the car lift to bring our cars up to this first level to be worked on, and a very modern and functional warehouse that still respects and uses as much of the historical aspects of the building.
It's a fantastic area because it repurposes an old building for sort of modern use, and we've been able to we've been required to respect the original features of the building, which is vital really for from a heritage point of view, and the boys are very happy here. They work really hard. On average, they pick about 25,000 parts a month. Practically all of that goes to the workshop for later installation on vehicles. But again, some of it also goes to individual parts orders, which with which we service our customers out in the field. So again, it looks magnificent, and the workshop, which is just over across the way there, again looks very much state of the art, but within a historical environment.
So one of the main aspects of what Toyota does and our TGS business here is convert the vehicles that you see behind me into largely humanitarian aid. So vehicles in this part of the building are converted generally into ambulances to go out to help aid anywhere in the world, but mainly to Africa through the United Nations or other NGOs that are involved in these countries.
It is a very slick operation. TGS has been at this for over 25 years now, and it is a very slick, very well-oiled operation. Usually within a year we go through about 7,500 vehicles, 7,000 vehicles of which are re-exported out through the land border, and obviously 500 are shipped, and they are exported to 85 countries around the world. So it's a massive, massive operation.
The building, I think, in terms of business terms, has increased our operational efficiency by about 25%. So we're much more streamlined, and clearly that helps in us getting the cars to where they're needed as quickly and as timely as possible. So now our ambition is to bring the other Bassadone businesses that are still in Devil's Tower Road, all the workshops for our retail trade, normal annual car servicing of our car brands, and also bring over the Jeep business and open up a new production facility in a similar building towards the south of the dockyard. In phase one, we moved across our Toyota facilities from Devil's Tower Road. Then in a subsequent phase, we've got to do the same type of build, but now for Jeeps. And this is the building that we're going to convert into our Jeep production facility. This phase is south from our existing first phases, and it's a new set of buildings closer to the Europa Business Center. In fact, it's an integral part of the Europa Business Center. And this, over 2 levels and a side room, will accommodate all of our Jeep production, including paint booths, conversions, and all the facilities and equipment that they will need to change one model into another to whatever the client for Jeep requires. Because of the volume of cars we sell, we need to fulfill large parts orders, so spare parts for the cars that we've sold previously. So to follow up with a client, we'll order obviously spare parts packages, and these tend to be sizable. So we've taken over the old power station building, which we're at the moment clearing out and removing the engines, and that will be converted into a parts warehouse to support, in that case, both Toyota and the Jeep business, AEDS, and that's why we put it central and in between both buildings. So as you come moving south along the site, you will find phase one is the Toyota workshops with our new main building, which are all our offices and the showroom. Then we'll have our retail workshops, parts fulfillment center, and then coming across to here to Jeep production. They're now 120-year-old buildings, so heritage is obviously paramount to our planning process. So all the lessons that we learned there, we're going to transpose to here. We've done a study with the Heritage Trust about, for example, like you see behind me, some historic cranes. We're retaining about 5 of those that we found across the site. Will all be restored and retained to be as visible as possible. Things like the old railway lines that we found, we've kept, and we're wherever possible leaving them in situ. Generally, it's to do the same thing, restore the steelwork, and we've already sandblasted the facades of these buildings, and they're already looking much, much better. So again, everything that we've done in phase one, we fully intend to do in phase two and maintain the character and respect the heritage of all the buildings that we're getting. The only way that we're going to achieve everything is to work closely with the subject matter experts. So what we did is consult the Heritage Trust. So what we've done is been involved with them from planning stages, during construction, and even pre-construction. So before doing anything in this building, we've already had a site visit with them, and they've walked about and seen what we're going to do. And in a lot of cases, they've been super useful in getting advice on how to best tackle things. There are things that we need to do that affect the heritage of the building, but we always try to do it with best practice in mind and obviously to their satisfaction, and generally the planning conditions that we adhere to, which also encompass heritage concerns. I think in the activity that we will bring here is industrial. Clearly the Dockyard was always industrial, obviously more modern industrial. You'll also find a lot of people working here. Of course, not to the level of the thousands that worked in the great days of the Dockyard, but we hope to have about 350 people working on site, which is a sizable amount for any company. And again, bring life back to these buildings and back to the environment around us.